Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sorin Space. Today, I want to talk about modern anxiety. Not as an emotion, not as a mental disorder, not as a personal weakness, but as a structural signal. Modern society treats anxiety as something to be managed through therapy, medication, self-discipline, or motivation. But anxiety is not the disease, it is the symptom. And its cause does not lie inside the human mind, but inside the structure of modern civilization itself. I. Anxiety is not psychological, it is structural. Human beings did not suddenly become weaker. Our brains did not suddenly malfunction. What changed is the environment. Anxiety emerges when the structure surrounding an individual demands more emotional, cognitive, and survival responsibility than that individual can safely carry. In simple terms, anxiety is the alarm indicating that dependency, exposure, and uncertainty have exceeded structural safety. 2. Three types of modern anxiety. Modern anxiety is not a single phenomenon. It emerges from three structurally distinct sources. Understanding these distinctions is essential to understanding both the problem and its solution. 1. Survival anxiety. Survival anxiety arises when the basic conditions of life become uncertain: food, health, shelter, energy, mobility. In modern civilization, individuals do not directly control these systems. We do not grow our own food. We do not continuously monitor our own health. We do not produce our own energy. Instead, survival is embedded within large external systems. As a result, even small disruptions, a policy change, a supply chain failure, a hospital overload, or an economic shock, can immediately threaten personal stability, safety, or dignity. This anxiety is not irrational. It is a logical response to structural dependency. 2. Impact anxiety. Impact anxiety is different. It does not arise from fear of survival, but from fear of interference. It appears when one person's life trajectory can be altered by forces outside their control: other people's decisions, collective behavior, institutional shifts, or social expectations. The more a person's future depends on others' choices, the less predictable life becomes. This produces anxiety not about dying, but about being disrupted, delayed, or derailed. 3. Empathic anxiety. Compassion, empathy, anxiety. The third form of modern anxiety is empathic anxiety. This anxiety does not originate from personal risk at all. It arises when individuals emotionally absorb the suffering, danger, or tragedy of others, including complete strangers with whom they will never have direct interaction. Through modern communication systems, pain anywhere can reach anyone. People now emotionally process the suffering of unknown individuals, collective trauma, distant disasters, and hypothetical future catastrophes. This is not moral failure. It is not excessive kindness. It is a scale mismatch. Human empathy evolved for small, local groups, not for a planet of 8 billion people. Modern information systems force empathy to operate at planetary scale. As a result, emotional responsibility expands infinitely, while personal agency remains finite. This produces anxiety, not because people care too much, but because empathy has lost its proportional boundary. 3. Information explosion, anxiety amplification. These three forms of anxiety are massively amplified by information explosion. Modern individuals are no longer exposed only to their present reality. They are simultaneously exposed to the past, the future, global crises, social conflicts, environmental threats, and even cosmic-level uncertainty. Personal concern expands into concern for groups, society, the planet, and the universe itself. This is not increased responsibility. It is unfiltered exposure. The human nervous system evolved to process local, actionable threats. Modern information systems force individuals to emotionally process global, non-actionable risks. Anxiety emerges as a natural consequence of this mismatch. IV, dense connectivity and emotional overload. At the same time, communication technology has dramatically tightened human relationships. family, friends, classmates, colleagues, and social networks are now continuously connected. Information reaches individuals instantly, directly, and constantly. There is no natural buffer. In an environment of information saturation, even neutral signals become stressors. Anxiety no longer requires danger. It only requires exposure. V. The core structural principle. Here is the central rule. The greater an individual's dependence on external systems, the greater their exposure to uncontrollable information, and the wider their emotional responsibility without agency, the higher their baseline anxiety, not because society is cruel, not because people are fragile, but because risk and responsibility have been outsourced without restoring individual structural protection. 6. Why emotional solutions? Fail modern solutions focus on emotional regulation. But emotion is not the root. Telling people to calm down inside an unstable structure is like asking a smoke alarm to stop ringing while the building is still on fire. 7th. The structural solution, independence. The future of civilization is not emotional resilience. It is structural independence. In a mature future civilization, a single individual becomes a complete living ecosystem. Food production, health monitoring, energy management, basic manufacturing, maintained at the personal level through automation, AI, and advanced technology. When survival no longer depends on constant external stability, survival anxiety dissolves. And when survival anxiety disappears, impact anxiety weakens naturally. 8. Independence. First, connection optional. This future does not eliminate connection. It transforms its role. Independence becomes the default. Connection becomes a choice. People can connect to share resources, collaborate creatively, or support one another, instantly and reversibly. But connection is no longer required for survival. 9. Disconnection as a necessary skill. In an environment of infinite information, the ability to disconnect becomes essential. Disconnection is not avoidance. It is structural self-protection. The ability to pause information intake, to refuse non-essential emotional input, and to restore proportional responsibility is a survival skill. Without disconnection, the human mind becomes an open system. In an environment of infinite input, an infinite input guarantees instability. X. Final insight. Modern anxiety is not a failure of the human mind. It is the signal that civilization has outgrown the individual's structural protection. The future of civilization is not about calming people down. It is about building systems that no longer require people to be anxious in order to survive. Thank you.